Racing out at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth on Saturday, the 2nd of December 2023. It's a mouth-watering 10-race program that we can look forward to, with race number 1 set to get underway at 12:05. And no doubt one of the headliners on the day would be the Green Point Stakes, where we see Charles Dickens, Princess Calla, Seat Again, all in action. And we've got Almotana lurking below those three, and let's see how that race does unfold. But joining me on the line for this preview show is Graham Hawkins. And Graham, how are you doing?
All good, thank you. Really looking forward to this meeting. Another bumper race program, 10 races on the card. Just to note that those using computer form, obviously you've mentioned the first race off after 12 because the times in the computer form are incorrect and they've been adjusted. So to take note of that, racing is actually later than printed in the computer form. We've got the Grade 1 World Sports Betting Cape Fillies Guineas, which promises to be a real cracker. Then, as you've mentioned, what an elite renewal of the 600,000 Rand World Sports Betting Green Point Stakes with Charles Dickens, See It Again, Princess Calla, and of course the King's Plate winner Almutana, backed up by the Southern Cross Stakes, Grade 2 over 1,000 metres, and the Cape Summer Stayers handicap over 2,500 metres. So lots of quality. And Rahil, quite a few interesting horses making their debuts, not necessarily strongly fancied to get the job done on debut, but we've got the half-brother to Desert Miracle making his debut. Yes. We've got the half-brother to Winchester Mansion and the own brother to Sand and Sea, and the full brother to Gimme a Prince. So a couple of blue-blooded newcomers in some of the races earlier in the program.
Absolutely, we look forward to it. It is set to be a
and
very...
Big Six carryover.
Most definitely. We can't forget about that, Graham, because the 1 million Rand Pick 6 carryover, likely pool of 6 million Rand. So Pick 6 could certainly be a very nice bet that the guys want to get involved in. Now, race number 1 is a juvenile plate for the fillies over the 1,000 meter trip. It is a field of 9 at the time of recording that will go to post. Favorite number 1, Sorceress Supreme at 18-10, along with number 6, Blowing in the Wind. It's 4-1 about Whistle the Tune, and then you've got 8-1 and better about those. Now, when having a look at race number 1, Graham, having a look at the siblings that that's related to these horses, nothing particularly stood out for me. But this horse, Sorceress Supreme, Michelle Rex mentions nice sort and decent sort can feature. What's your thoughts on the first race?
Yeah, look, it's obviously tricky. The betting is usually the best guide. It didn't perhaps turn out that way last week. We've always got to respect the Glenn Cotson's first timers. He's got Whistle the Tune by Captain of All. That'll probably go well. Sorceress Supreme, you've mentioned the siblings, a half-sister to Chalima, who certainly was a lot better over further, but the progeny of Eruptive as well as 2-year-olds. Richard Faree could strike rate, as we've mentioned so often, for the Harold Crawford and Michelle Ricks combination. Timeline is out of a very quick mare who won 4 times over 1,000 metres, and there's been a lot of talk about One World, so watch out if there's a nibble for number 2, Timeline. Number 6, Blowing in the Wind, representing the Grand Finike Justin Stays combination. She's a 3/4 sister to Rio Carrari, so from a pedigree perspective, and given that this is a sprint, Blowing in the Wind has probably got the best pedigree credentials, being a 3/4 sister to Rio Carrari. And Coral Blaze, a half-sister to the well-performed Souk. That's by the United States. So I'm not going to venture any selections here. Justin Snae's 2-year-old ran very, very disappointingly last week spare. So whether they fought enough to do justice to themselves, it's a different race, of course, tomorrow. And Blowing in the Wind's got a different pedigree. But I'll be sitting on the fence watching with interest. It's always nice to watch these 2-year-olds, but I'm not getting involved.
Yeah, race number 1, thankfully, does not form part of any of the exotics on the day, besides, of course, a double if you want to get involved in races 1 and 2. But race 1, follow the market carefully. Watch how the horses move down to the start before making your final assessment as to which horse you are going to have a strike on. Race number 2 on the program, 1,200 meters a trip. This is a maiden plate that will kickstart the bipod. 12:40 is the off time, as Graham mentioned. All of the times in the computer form are printed incorrectly, so do take note of the time changes. Race 2, 12:40. Now we're having a look at this contest here, Graham. It is quite a big field that line up over the 1,200 meter trip, and Trippy Silk 33-10, 5-1 about Babylon, 6-1 Dance to the Light, 7-1 Prince of Tibet. Then Connery has found support, 14-1 into 8-1. Then it's 12-1 and better bar those. You mentioned the half brother to Desert Miracle, number 12 Hudia, He's 850,000 rand purchase, and he's definitely one that we would want to keep an eye on debut.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal world obviously suggests that Hoodia is going to want to go a little bit further. As you say, the half-brother to Desert Miracle, she had a lot of speed. She was probably at a best over 1,400. So Hoodia, we'll see how he goes. The half-brother to Desert Miracle. 3 Anchor Bay, that's where I grew up, in fact. 3 Anchor Bay is the half-brother to Winchester Mansion. But let's not forget, he's the full brother to Sand and Sea, who won the Grade 1 gold medallion as a 2-year-old. But Justin Snaith's comments suggest that 3 Anchor Bay is a different type to Sand and Sea and will need a lot further. Nothing jumps out at me. I do think Connery is my value bet on the day. So I'm pleased to see there's a bit of support for him, because it's interesting. He makes his first ever run at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. All 5 of his previous runs have been at Durbanville. He showed a lot of potential in his first 3 starts. He was disappointing in the ready-to-run stakes behind Tail of the Comet, but let's forgive him that. I'm a little bit concerned about the fact that the going last week seemed to be middle to outside, and he's drawn in gate 1, but I do think he represents some good value. Consiglia for the Adam Marcus Richard Faree combination, that showed marked improvement in its second start and can continue to improve. Babylon has got fair form on the Highveld. Trippy Silk has been there and thereabouts. Prince of Tibet, the same comment. Dancing to the Light hasn't run since its debut effort on the 19th of August, went 5th to Warm Winter Night, and that could improve. So for me, it's a wide open contest. My value selection in the race would be number 1, Connery. My suggested bet for today is the Place Accumulator. This first leg of the biped, I think you need to go pretty wide.
It certainly does look to be a very, very trappy contest to kickstart the bipod, and perhaps this could be a race that we keep an eye on moving forward. The form line could be one to watch, and there could be a few nice horses lurking within this contest. We'll move along to race number 3 to start off the Place Accumulator, which is Graham's suggested bet. 1:15 the off time, 1,200 meters the trip, but this is a maiden plate that will get the PA underway. Kopsa Klopsa, 3-1. The Real Prince, the brother to Give Me a Prince, full brother. He's found quite a bit of betting support. 10-1 into 7-2. 7-1 about Night Bomber. It's 8-1 Song to the Moon. 8-1 Class 4. 10-1 and better bar those. Now, Graham, obviously this horse, the Real Prince, he needs to be respected on debut, given that there has been market support, given his brother is a supremely talented individual. And the comments are very, very positive. Nice colt, including exotics, and the early money does speak volume.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised that the bookmakers were generous enough to offer 10-1 in the early part of the betting. He may be drawn on the right side of the track. There's no doubt that number 15, the Real Prince, is the key horse in the race. He may have too much class and win this race on debut. As you said, this is the second leg of the bipod, first leg of the Place Accumulator. On form, number 5, Kopsa Klopsa jumps out at you, runner-up in its last 2 starts at Durbanville. But I don't make him a good thing. He might well come home lonely. I'm taking him on in the Place Accumulator. I'm going with 4 horses in the first leg of the Place Accumulator. I'm going to include number 4, Night Bomber. He was a length and a half behind Kopsa Klopper last time out, but that was Night Bomber's first run as a gelding, and he may have plenty more scope for improvement. They're drawn alongside each other. The Ricky Maingard stable continues to tick along very nicely, so I'm going to throw in number 8, Run For Me. It's nice to have Greg Sheen in town to partner number 8, Run For Me, and then I'm obviously going to include the first time at number 15, the Real Prince. So Kopsa Klopsa does look the one they all have to beat, but he's in a competitive heat, so he may not have things all his own way. Number 12 plus 4 is interesting, could improve, and then number 13, Holding Thumbs, a very well-bred first-timer by Vercingetorix from the Glen Cotton stable. Thinks it might be a little bit short, but a nice type of horse. So, again, you know, Kopsa will give you a really good run for your money. There's no doubt about that. But the key horse in the race is number 15, the Real Prince, the own brother to the very highly rated Grade 1 winner, Give Me a Prince. That is the key horse. So, as we approach race time, the betting may tell the whole story.
Yeah, most definitely. And this could be another race where the form line is one to keep an eye on moving forward. But the Real Prince, all eyes on him as he looks to follow in his brother's footsteps. Moving along to race number 4, 1,600 meters the distance. This is a maiden plate that will jump at 1,350. It is the start of the pick 6. Your favorite is Kawakazi at 22-10. 7-2, Give Me the Limelight. 7-1, about to a penny, and then it's 16 to 1 into 10 to 1. Number 1, Devilishly Gorgeous. It's then 10 to 1 and better bar those. Now, this horse, Kawekazi, last time out, unfortunately, Richard Free got himself into an uncomfortable tangle over the final 100 meters of the race, which possibly cost this filly the race at the end of the day, beaten behind Lorena. But going over 1600 meters, a trip that should suit her quite nicely. Does she rate the one to beat despite the deep draw?
I do think she rates the one to beat. Hollywood Syndicate will obviously be hoping for a race-to-race double. They'll be looking to win the third race with number 5, Karpse Klopse, and then to follow up number 10, Kawekazi. Richard Faree rides both, and again, Richard Faree does also ride for the Harold Crawford Michelle Rick stable earlier, and we mentioned then that he's got a very decent strike rate. Yeah, she was run out of it in the closing stages by Lorena over 1,400 meters at Hollywoodbets Durbanville last time. She makes her first appearance at the principal track, and she should go really well. But again, I don't think it's a one-horse race. I think number 2, Give Me the Limelight, is very much alive, as is Adam Marcus's ride, number 8, 2 a penny. Her recent form is decent. My lurker in the race is number 5, Fairfield. I think that's one that's definitely got to go into trifectas and quartets. Daughter of Futura, she's the half-sister to Hold My Hand. Her first 2 starts not too bad, and I think there's plenty of scope for improvement. Then, as you've mentioned, there's been betting support for number 1, Devilishly Gorgeous. So these maiden plates, races 2, 3 and 4 may not be as cut and dried as they first appear. Number 10, Kawekazi, definitely the one to beat in the 4th race, the opening leg of the carryover pick 6. But there are a few others with chances, and I'm certainly throwing Fairfield into the quartet and trifecta play.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned number 5, Fairfield, because as I was having a look at the market, while you were speaking, I was just having a look at this filly's price, 25 to 1 into 16 to 1. And she's met the boys in her first 2 starts, and the form lines have held up quite nicely. So there's certainly quite a bit of value about this individual, and possibly one to definitely include into the pick 6, and could be one that's worth an each-way tickle.
Certainly worth an each-way tickle at a big price, and definitely one that I would include into the pick 6. I've thrown numbers 2, 8 and 10 into the second leg of the place accumulator, so I haven't banked number 10, Kawekazi. My bankers come later. Hopefully I've structured this correctly. I'm looking for perhaps 1 or 2 to go missing in these maiden plates races 2, 3 and 4. And I'm putting the field in the last leg of the place accumulator, race 9, which doesn't often happen that you put the field in the place accumulator. But I'm bankering 3 in a row later on, so we'll get to that in a moment. So Fairfield, definitely one to throw into the pick 6s. But 2, 8 and 10 should get us through the place accumulator. Kawekazi is well deserving of a victory. It does set the standard.
We move along to race number 5 on the program, which is the first of the features on the day, 1,000 meters the trip. This is the Southern Cross Stakes, a Group 2 contest for the fillies and mares. 25 past 2 is your off time. And it's a very nice field that line up for this event. It is October Morn, trading at 28 to 10. 9 to 2, Kiss Me Captain. 7 to 1, Ripple Effect. 7 to 1, Quinter's Light. It's then 12 to 1 and better bar those. Now, this filly October Morn, very, very interesting that they're running her over 1,000 meters once again, because she does seem to be better over slightly further, but she's clearly a filly that's got lots of ability. She's a 3-time winner from 7 outings. She does meet a very, very competitive field, however, and I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be too easy for her. But what's your thoughts on race 5? Do you have a top selection?
Yeah, I make October Morn my top selection. I think she was desperately unlucky not to beat Baltic Secret in the laissez-faire stakes. But I make it a 3-cornered contest. I think 1 of 3 will win the race. Number 8, Quinter's Light, definite runner. Number 9, October Morn, my top choice. And you have to respect the As He Trained, number 12, Kiss Me Captain. Beat the boys in the Southeaster Sprint and is a very, very good sprinter. So for me, from a pick 6 perspective, I'm narrowing it down to 3 horses: 8, Quinter's Light, 9, October Morn, and 12, Kiss Me Captain. October Morn, I think the way the race is run will suit her. I think she'll sit in behind the pace. I think the pace will be on from the word go. I think Baltic Secret, who won the laissez-faire stakes, will go forward. Oni Sand will be handy. Candy Town will show a usual speed. So I think the race sets up very nicely for October morn, because I think Elder will have it just behind them and then pounce at the right time. But Quintus Light will be no pushover. Kiss Me Captain will be no pushover. But I would be surprised if anything else other than one of those three fillies actually came out on top in this year's renewal of the Southern Cross Stakes.
And after 3, Quintus Light could be some value at around 7-1 in the market. Filly that ran, mare that ran third last time after Kiss Me Captain, and we'll be looking to close the deficit. So 8, 9 and 12 for Graham, and those are the 3 horses that top the best weighted column as well. Move along to race number 6, 1600 meters. This is the second of our features of Group 2, the World Sports Betting Greenpoint Stakes. A cracking contest, a cracking renewal of the Greenpoint Stakes. 3 o'clock is the off time. Charles Dickens deep in the red at 36-100. It is 11-2, See It Again. Princess Kala at 6-1. 20-1 into 16-1 Almatana. And then you can get 20-1 and better bar those. Now, this horse, Charles Dickens, we all know that he's a freak of an horse. He's a 9-time winner from 11 outings. And the reason that he's possibly that deep in the red, Graham, is possibly because he's going over a mile and not further. Because I would say if it was 1800 meters, he'd possibly be at a more backable price, I would say. But at 3-10, is he a banker in all bets?
Well, obviously, this is the key race for all exotic bet players. Do you row in with Charles Dickens in a big way? He's very short in the market, as you've said. When you look at the handicappers' ratings, there's not much to choose between Charles Dickens, Princess Kala, See It Again, and El Mutana. See It Again, definitely his rating is earned over further. So perhaps over this trip, the betting should be a lot closer between Charles Dickens, Princess Kala, and El Mutana. El Mutana always flies under the rainbow, under the radar. So perhaps he won't have many supporters. Charles Dickens is entitled to be favourite. He's entitled to win the race. He's a champion. He's a great miler. He's a country's champion miler. But Princess Kala has proven time and time again that she's no pushover. Definitely Charles Dickens a top choice. Definitely place accumulator banker. But you've got to make up your own mind as to whether you're going to row in with Charles Dickens as a supreme banker in the carryover pick 6, or whether you're going to throw in number 4, Princess Kala. I suspect that number 2, See It Again, may need another and maybe better over further. Would I be surprised if Pierre Stratham got him home ahead of Charles Dickens? No, I wouldn't be. El Mutana has the class, we know that, but Ricky Maingard is suggesting that El Mutana will need the run. So the biggest danger for me to Charles Dickens' dominance is definitely Princess Kala. She ran a super comeback race over 1,250 meters at Hollywoodbets Durbanville last time out. She'll strip a lot fitter. She prefers this kind of a trip. And she'll give Charles Dickens something to think about. But I guess we have to believe that Charles Dickens will get the job done.
He's a horse that I'm sure many punters will be playing around on the day, and they'll be bankering him in the pick 6. Charles Dickens, 4-year son of Trippy, 9-time winner, looking for career win number 10 with Aldo De Meyer aboard. Race number 7, which is the Group 1 on the day, the World Sports Betting Cape Fillies Guineas over 1600 meters, 15:35 is the off time. And when we have a look at the market, it's 3-1 about Double Grand Slam, 9-2 Raskovo. It's 6-1 about Red Palace, Silver Sanctuary, Mrs. Geriatrics, 8-1 and better bar those. Now, this is a huge positive for number 1, Double Grand Slam, that she's got the draw advantage over Mrs. Geriatrics, who was disappointing last time out when 5th behind Raskova. She just never seemed to get herself into the race, and despite drifting out in the market, I'm sure many would have still lumped onto that 14-10 about her. Deep draw to contend with. She's going to have a work cut out having a first start at the course. And when we were speaking off air, you seem to believe number 1, Double Grand Slam, could get the job done.
I'm looking for the Western Cape Fillies Championship form to stand up, but I accept that also it's a different racetrack. We saw in the Cape Punters Cup last week that the form shown in the Cape Classic, which was the build-up to that race, didn't necessarily stand up, and the form was overturned. We saw Shlui coming through to beat Snow Pilot, and Green with Envy prior to that had been handsomely beaten by questioning. This time they got the better of questioning. So the form could turn around. It's a different type of racetrack. It's a different style of racing, but being drawn in pole position is a huge advantage. I like the way the Double Grand Slam was finishing off a race behind Raskova last time out. They go the extra 200 meters. I think it's a little tougher at Kenilworth than it is at Durbanville. So I'm expecting Double Grand Slam to get the measure of Raskova, but Raskova will certainly be very competitive. She's matured nicely. She's a lovely filly, and she's also neatly drawn in gate 5. So those are my top 2 choices. I'm expecting the Western Cape Fillies Championship form to stand up. Mrs. Geriatrics, though, as you said, everything went wrong. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And the fact that she actually finished 5th, only 5.5 lengths behind Raskova, was actually a commendable effort under the circumstances. You knew that your race was run halfway around the turn. She was out in the open. She was on the wrong leg. She was fighting. But she's drawn wide again. She goes the left-handed track again. What is Richard Fourie going to do from the draw? Is he going to try and drop her out to the rear of the field and settle and give her a chance? Is he going to go forward? We don't know. Then Mike de Kock, Silver Sanctuary, the full sister to Safe Passage. When Mike de Kock comes into town, particularly for the fillies guineas, then you've got to take note. He knows exactly what type of filly it takes to win a race like this. He was beat a couple of years ago with Desert Miracle, surprisingly perhaps. Silver Sanctuary, the form, perhaps she needs to step up on the form, but the fact that Mike de Kock has travelled with her, that has got to be respected. Red Palace has won her last 2 races in very impressive style. The stable think very highly of her. She did miss a race that she was ought to have run in to bring her to peak fitness for this race, but she'll go well, and she'll probably go to the front with Raskova in the slipstream. Beach Bomb is drawn wide, Distant Winter is drawn wide, but both of those fillies have got chances. It's a competitive renewal of the R1.25 million World Sports Betting Cape Fillies Guineas, but I'm in the camp of Double Grand Slam. There's a lot in her favour. The form is good, the draw is good. I think the course of distance will be ideal. She'll get to the run of the race behind Red Palace at Raskova, but Raskova won't be a pushover. But there are many others with chances.
Graham, with regards to Mrs. Geriatrics, now obviously 1600 meters, that's going to be a question mark on many people's mind, whether she's going to see out the trip. Now, from a Sean Terry and Connections point of view, would you want a true run race or would you want a false run race? Because now you've obviously got to see if the filly stays, and you've also got a deep draw to contend with. So what do you think their thinking would be as to tactics in this contest?
I think when you're drawn wide, you always want the pace to be on. So I think they'll be looking for a true run race. I think they'll be looking to give her a chance. She's run some super races from well off the pace. We've seen her burst of speed over the last 200 meters on display in many of her previous races where she's come from well back. So I don't think that it's a problem if she's going to be giving them some start. I think what's critical for Mrs. Geriatrics is that she settles, that she gets into a nice rhythm, and wherever she's placed, that Richard Fourie doesn't have to fight with her in any way to get around the left-handed corner. And if all of that falls into place, then Mrs. Geriatrics could certainly make her presence felt over the last 200 meters. Yes, 1600 meters is going to be a question mark. Only the race will show, but I'm hoping that she settles and that she takes a back seat in the running, because I think the pace is going to be on. I think Red Palace is going to go forward, Royals will go forward, Raskova will go forward, maybe even Secret Identity will go forward. I don't know. There's going to be a battle for the early lead. And I think a fast pace will suit her, as it will Beach Bomb and Distant Winter, and probably even more so, or just as much, Double Grand Slam. So I'm expecting the race to be run at a genuine pace, and I think we'll get a genuine result.
I think if you're a Mrs. Geriatrics fan, 6-1, the best price you'll ever get throughout her career, and I'm sure many guys will love that 6-1, but it's certainly a very, very competitive contest. Race number 8, this is set to go off at 10 past 4. This is the Cape Summer Stayers Handicap, a listed contest over 2,500 meters. One-way traffic, 15-10, 4-1 about Aragosta, 5-1 Flower of Saigon. It's 8-1 and better bar those. Linebacker trying the trip for the first time. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes over 2,500 meters. But Graham, this horse, one-way traffic, he looks to be the right horse in the race. Last time out, beaten behind Mucho De Niro. He was beaten 4 lengths, and Mucho De Niro did look to be the right horse in the race, strictly at the weights. He's now having his peak run, draw 2. there's surely a lot to like about him, and he should be able to get the job done in this contest.
Definitely the one to beat. He has his third run after rest. It's his peak run of the season. As you say, he was beaten handsomely by Mucho De Niro, but he was giving away 8 kilograms. And we were very confident with Mucho De Niro, that as confident with one-way traffic. But Aragosta is interesting because that ran in the Betway Summer Cup last week. So 7 days later, and having to travel from the Highveld to the Western Cape in the interim, Aragosta definitely better this sort of a trip. So I wouldn't ignore Aragosta completely, but he has to give 4 kilograms to one-way traffic. That's not going to be easy. Aragosta, we know on his best form is quality. You've mentioned linebacker, also interesting for me. He's my third choice, Aragosta being my second choice behind the one-way traffic. Because linebacker could well now, he's been off form for a while, he's been disappointing for a while, since in fact running fourth behind Jet Dark in the 2022 Champions Cup. But maybe this kind of a trip now will suit him. But you can't back him with any degree of confidence. So the place accumulator, having banked Charles Dickens and having banked a doubled Grand Slam, I'm going to bank a one-way traffic in the place accumulator. He may well shape up as a pick six banker as well. I do think he'll take a lot of beating, particularly in receipt of 4 kilograms from Aragosta. But I've learnt over the years, you ignore Mike de Kock at your peril, and when Richard Faree rides for Mike de Kock, then you certainly got to sit up and take notes. So Aragosta may be a bigger threat than we think, but one-way traffic is the clear first choice.
Yeah, one-way traffic, 15-10 in the market. That's the top selection. Yeah, Aragosta will be interesting to see how he goes. Richard gets on extremely well with his 5-year-old son of Rafif. Race number 9, the penultimate race on the day, 1,200 meters the distance, 16:45 is the off time, and it is a Class 3 contest where we've got a field of 15 runners that line up. Yamadori 4-1, 6-1 King of the Goal, 6-1 Veldskun, 7-1 USA's Hope, 10-1 into 8's About Seeking the One, 8-1 Dean Street, and then it's 12-1 and Better Bar those. Now this horse King of the Goals is certainly very, very interesting because he's a smashing looker and he's got a crack in action on him. But first run in the Cape, and I was disappointed with his last out on the poly track behind Ragabaga. I thought he would have put up a better performance, but Tony Rivlin thinks a lot of this individual.
Well, as you said, there was a lot of hype around King of the Gauls. We could maybe forgive him his run on the poly track, but he's coming into the Lion's Den here. You know, my 3 place accumulator bankers, Charles Dickens, double Grand Slam and one-way traffic arrive. I've suggested the field in the last leg of the place accumulator here. It's a very, very competitive Class 3 handicap over 1,200 meters. Certainly King of the Gauls you've got to respect. Richard Faree's going to put a kilo over, but I wonder whether that form is actually strong enough. We know he beat Tea Time Tipple. That got beat again in the week. Rugged Bugger. He should have got the job done there, given the hype around King of the Gauls, but he comes to Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. He comes into the Lion's Den, and he may take to it like a duck takes to water, because this is a stiff 1,200 meters, and we can expect a progressive run from King of the Gauls, but this is very, very competitive, Rahil. Paratrooper has his first run as a gelding, Seeking the One, won his only start over the course and distance. You and I have discussed Hammy's Hero, how many times he could pop up in this kind of a race. USA's Hope had 3 starts over the course and distance for 2 wins and a second. He's never ever been unplaced over this kind of distance. He's got to be a runner. Veldskun always keeps you interested. Yamadori, improving 3-year-old, on form of 12 August. He's 7 kilos worse off with Moya Wala Liga. 7 kilos worse off, and Moya Wala Liga beat him by 2 lengths that day. Admittedly, that was at Hollywoodbets Durbanville. Quite what went wrong with Moya Wala Liga last time, I don't know, but we've got to take his well-being and his fitness on trust. If he's running, we've got to think he's got a big chance. Double Charge is the kind that could surprise. Dean Street is a course and distance specialist, drawn on the stand side. Good second behind Cafe Culture last time, has got to go in. For me, I can't be of much help to you here. It's going to be a thrilling race. I think it's going to be a blanket finish, and I'm hoping for an absolute train smash as far as the place accumulator is concerned, because I'm throwing in the field. But if you had to narrow me down, I would say Dean Street, Yamadori, Moya Wala Liga, and Veldskun would probably USA's Hope. It's difficult to narrow this down. It's that competitive. I'm not prepared to eliminate any horse at all in this race.
Yeah, field race. It certainly does look to be that way. And just listening to Graham go through this field, and I'm with him. Looking for cover. I'm hiding in this contest because it's very, very trappy, and you could just get just about any result. And Moya Walla Liga, I think he could be a factor here, 12-1 in the market. Graham's given him a shout. He found his best form at Hollywoodbets Scottsville. Down the lane, he seems to prefer a straight course, and from that 12 draw, which could be favourable on the day, he's definitely one to keep an eye on at 12-1. Moving along to race number 10, the final race on the day, 5:20 the off time, 1200 meters the trip. This is a class 3 contest for fillies and mares, and it's a field of 9 that go to post. Number 5, the Charleston, 28-10 favorite. It's 28-10 about Miss Greenlight. 9-2 Lady Lookalike, who's found support from 10-1, 6-1 about Pacific Green, and then it's 7-1 and better by those. Now this filly, the Charleston, she ran 2 lengths behind Winter Cloud last time out, and she was having a prep run. She goes over the 1200 meters in this contest. She's a win over track and trip, and to be quite frank with you, I actually thought this filly would win the debutante 2 starts back on Gold Cup day when beaten behind Callum Moretta, and then last time out I thought she'd run a nice race. She ran okay, 2 lengths off them, but I think in this type of field she could be good enough, and she could hold all the aces in this event, Graham.
Top choice in the race, definitely the one they all have to beat. As you say, I think she's got more to come. She's promised much. She's been a little bit disappointing in some of her races, but she's run against the best, and I'm expecting number 5, the Charleston, to come out on top in this class 3 handicap for fillies and mares over 1200 meters. But as we know in these handicaps, it's never quite as easy as that. So the Charleston top choice. Number 2, Lookalike. Brett Crawford has a strong hand here. Lady Lookalike, Bella Matsignano rides, was a good winner over Mia's Harper last time out. She's won over the track and the trip, so you've got to respect her. More interesting for me is Miss Greenlight, Richard Faree. Now, she's been tried over a variety of distances. She's even been as far as 1800 meters. But when you look at her course and distance form, you have to believe that she's at her absolute best over 1200 meters at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. 6 starts for 2 wins, 2 seconds and 2 fourths. So she's going to be competitive. So Miss Greenlight emerges as the principal threat to number 5, the Charleston. The Charleston stable companion, number 4, Body Electric, is also not without a chance, with a very, very good second behind Quintus Light in the Olympic Dual Stakes. But that was on a heavy track in the middle of winter, and but she's got good form over the course and distance, so you can't safely ignore Body Electric. But the Charleston, definitely the first choice. Principal danger would be number 8, Miss Greenlight.
Possibly 5 and 8, the runners that you can play around in race number 10. Some exactors, swingers, and maybe even some trifectas and quartets with those 2 runners in race number 10. We're going to move along to the suggested bet now, and Graham will take us through his suggested bet, which is a place accumulator, which begins in race number 3 on the program at 1:15. Graham, take it away with that place accumulator.
As you mentioned, race 3, I'm going with 4 runners. Number 4, Night Bomber. Number 5, Carpser Klopser. Number 8, Run For Me. And number 15, The Real Prince. Watch the betting as we get closer to race time. There has been some early support for Gimme a Prince's full brother, The Real Prince, on debut. If more money comes, it may cast a different complexion on the race, but obviously Carpser Klopser the one to beat on form. Second leg, I'm going with numbers 2, Give Me the Limelight, 8, 2 a Penny, and 10 Kawakazi in the place accumulator. But we're going to throw in number 5 Fairfield into the pick 6 for certain. We picked that up as a nice value selection at big odds, and one to throw into the trifectas and quartets. But 2, 8 and 10, second leg of the PA. Third leg of the PA, 3-horse contest in the Southern Cross Stakes between numbers 8 Quintus Light, 9 October Morning, 12 Kiss Me Captain. I'm going to throw them all in to the place accumulator and limit my pick 6 selections to these 3, 8, 9 and 12. Then in the place accumulator we have 3 bankers in a row. Number 7 Charles Dickens in the Greenpoint Stakes. Number 1 Double Grand Slam in the Cape Fillies Guineas. Both those races, of course, sponsored by World Sports Betting. Then banker number 2 One Way Traffic in the Cape Summer Stayers Handicap. And if we get that far, we know we're going to catch it, and we know we're going to triple up because it's the field in that very competitive race 9.
540 Rand is the cost for that place accumulator. Take it for a percentage, 10%, 54 Rand. It certainly looks to be a nice perm there. And Graham has gone the field in the last, which could be the best race to actually go the field, because it looks to be a nightmare of a race to try and find a top selection. But Graham, thanks very much for your time. It's obviously going to be a cracking race day out at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth on Saturday, day 2 of the Cape Summer season. And we look forward to the racing, 2 Group 2s, 1 Group 1, and obviously one of the headliners on the day will no doubt be the Green Point Stakes, despite it being a Group 2 and the Fillies Guineas being a Group 1.
Yeah, it's just fantastic racing. I mean, the Cape Renaissance summer season has got off to a fabulous start, and it's just going to get better and better. But it's going to be a bumper day's racing, that's for certain.
Thanks very much to Graham for his time and his thoughts on Saturday. All the best to you as the viewer. Hopefully you manage to make yourself lots of cash.